Welcome back. Today I'm going to be bringing you my safety ranking for the 2026 draft. If you do enjoy the content, please consider liking and subscribing. It would be very much appreciated. Now let's jump into it. At 7, I've got Zakee Wheatley out of Penn State, and I've got a day 2 evaluation on him. Due to the plethora of safety talent that Penn State seemed to have at the time, Wheatley stuck out a rotational role in his first 3 seasons before his final 2 as a regular starter. His 5-year college career means he enters the NFL as a 24-year-old, but on the bright side and contrary to a lot of older prospects, his injury history is squeaky clean. Wheatley's role for Penn State, although technically as a free safety, was in a defense that plays a 2-high or even 3-high safety look and wants those safeties to crash downhill. My point is that I don't see the skill set to play free safety in the NFL, and certainly not in a single high system. He totally lacks awareness, often aimlessly choosing a side of the field to attack without even peering back up to see if the situation has changed. He also lacks long speed and seems a touch rigid to me, but he reads the run well enough. He's got a bit of burst about him. His 31-inch arms are underwhelming for a 6'3" frame, but the size is a plus, and he shows his physicality in his ability to get off blocks. His tackling can be slightly awkward, but he seems to wrap up effectively, which is the important thing. So Wheatley doesn't blow me away, but I could see him having a rotational role as a box safety. At 6, I've got AJ Horsey out of LSU. AJ Horsey spent his freshman season with New Mexico before transferring and spending 2 years with Houston before his final collegiate season, which he spent with LSU. There's a lot to feel icky about when evaluating AJ Horsey. He played through a shoulder injury last season and may still require surgery. He is not a twitchy athlete, as shown in his 4.52 40-yard dash and 1.62 10-yard split. And at 5'11" with sub 31-inch arms, he doesn't possess length, although he's pretty well built at 215 pounds. There's one thing that makes me quietly bullish on the idea that Horsey could be a solid NFL starter, and that's the instinct. Horsey's been deployed as a free safety throughout his career, which means he's been able to see the full picture, and it appears that he understands the full picture. He is also patient and hard to manipulate as a quarterback, which combined with impressive ball skills and fluid hips is a dangerous combination in a free safety. Although I would like to see him a touch more assertive and close the space earlier to make up for his lack of twitch. So he's a weird prospect where I think he'll drop to the 3rd, 4th or 5th round, and I can't say that I don't understand why, as he is hard to get excited about, but I've just got a feeling he hangs around and ends up having a solid NFL career. At 5, I've got Genesis Smith out of Arizona. Genesis Smith is 6'2" with 32.5-inch arms. His length would suggest more of a box role at the next level, but in reality, he doesn't suit it. For one, his 202 pounds makes him pretty skinny on a long frame, and the tackling is weak. He appears to be solely focused on punching the ball out, which has led to 3 forced fumbles last season, which is the most of anyone in this video. And the bright side is that this means it might be a simple tweak in mindset that allows him to start getting low and wrapping up. But as of right now, I'm yet to see it. I see Smith having the most success in a 2-high style of defense. The reason being is that I don't think he has the range to cover the deep region all by himself, but he reads the game fantastically. I like his approach. I think while he is patient, he trusts his eyes and shows assertiveness when required. And he's got a little bit of burst about him to where he can come downhill from deep and cover some cracks in the first line of defense. On top of this, in a cover 2 scheme where his lack of high-end athleticism isn't so exposed, his awareness in coverage combined with fluidity and length could lead to him locking down his side of the field in an NFL defense, as shown by his 6 pass breakups last season, the most of anyone in the video. So far from a perfect prospect, and it took me a moment to figure out what I think his role is, but I think there is one for him where he could end up being a solid starter in the NFL. Moving into my second round evaluations, at 4 I've got Emmanuel McNeill-Warren out of Toledo. McNeill-Warren is a long thumping box safety. He is a bit ugly to watch at times. There is a bit of a rigidness that not only shows up in coverage, but is part of the reason for a 15.5% missed tackle rate last season. He is not a twitchy athlete, nor does he possess a ton of long speed, but what he does do is read the game fantastically. His ability to read the quarterback's eyes is excellent, but more importantly for where he'll be providing value in the NFL, his ability to diagnose run plays is up there with the best prospects in this class. His length means he is able to get off blocks with ease, and from that he is a magnet to the ball carrier. Ideally, I'd like to see Warren as the strong safety in a cover 3 style of defense, as I don't think he's going to thrive in space at the next level. But if you're a team looking for a traditional box safety, this is your guy. At 3, I've got Kamari Ramsey out of USC. Kamari Ramsey is coming off a season-ending knee injury, and his medical will be a big part of the evaluation process for NFL teams. Unfortunately, I'm not privy to that type of information, but once he is fully healthy, there's some serious potential here. Despite playing all over the place last season due to injuries around him, Ramsey should be a free safety in the NFL, ideally in a cover 3 system where he is truly responsible for the deep region and nothing else. He lacks length, and I find the instincts to be a work in progress. I like that he keeps his eyes up and is assertive in attacking what he sees, but he is overly eager in run defense, and a bit of poise is required before having success when playing in the box. His zone coverage tells a similar story. He keeps his eyes up and is eager to make a play on the ball, but the overall awareness is inconsistent. However, Ramsey's on-the-field twitch makes his 4.47 40-yard dash look slow, not to mention outstanding fluidity to where he can take on slot receivers and have success. He's a slight project, but Kamari Ramsey has what it takes to be a legit free safety, and it may only take a year of medical recovery and NFL coaching before people are looking back at his scouting reports wondering how he missed one of the best in the NFL. Moving into my first round evaluations at 2, and I will say not a million miles behind number 1, is Delon Tieneman out of Oregon. Delon Tieneman is a beast. For 2 years with Purdue, he played mostly as a free safety before transferring for his third and final college season with Oregon. For Oregon, he's played more of a box role. In fact, technically speaking, he's been playing a fair bit of linebacker this season. He's got the fluidity of a slightly rigid outside cornerback prospect, which makes him perfectly capable of covering running backs and tight ends. In fact, in the playoff game versus Indiana, he was asked to play man coverage versus Omar Cooper Jr. and Elijah Surratt on multiple occasions and did a pretty good job. There's no doubt that with this in mind, he should be used as a versatile weapon who could be moved all over the field, but with what I saw him do for Oregon last season, I get most excited about him in more of a strong safety role. Tieneman's 4.35 40-yard dash lines up with his range on the field. He flies across the screen, and what makes this even more exciting is that he is tough and his ability to read the run is masterful. The only thing that frustrates me is his tackling technique. He doesn't seem to pick a side. It tends to be a head-on car crash. Not only do I wince every time I see this because it looks like a neck injury waiting to happen, but it also makes it very difficult for him to get low and wrap up around the legs. Besides that, no concerns, just an absolute machine. At 1, I've got Caleb Downs out of Ohio State. Caleb Downs is as advertised. He's not the biggest, and obviously the value of some of these typically less valuable positions is a big question at the moment, but Downs fits the modern idea of a versatile safety. He is not a free safety or a strong safety or a nickel. He is a chess piece. Downs is a twitchy athlete with sideline-to-sideline range. He is fluid in coverage and can be asked to play the nickel role and take on a slot receiver no problem. But the thing that really stands out about him is his instincts. I was watching Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese for my linebacker ranking, and time again Caleb Downs jumped off the screen. And it wasn't just because he's athletic, it was that he was changing the dynamic of his defense with his ability to see how the run was developing before anyone else and have the trust in his instincts to attack what he thought was happening with a vengeance. So he really shines versus the run in my opinion, but he also reads the quarterback's eyes incredibly well, and I've mentioned his fluidity. My only points of criticism for him would be that he lacks length, and I thought his tackling technique was a bit lazy at times. He loves this armless Superman dive at the ankles, which seems to be pretty common in college, but just doesn't seem like the most effective way of getting the job done. The other thing is that he was flagged up at the combine for a partially torn meniscus and a potentially degenerative ACL. I'm going to basically ignore this, as not only does it seem vague and not a huge issue anyway, but also pretty suspicious that this information has come out. I don't feel like it's very common that a prospect goes into the combine with no apparent medical issues and suddenly something gets flagged up. It seems like a pretty blatant example of a team or two trying to get Caleb Downs to fall to them in the draft. So assuming that this isn't really anything to worry about, I think this is the type of safety you can feel comfortable drafting in the top 10. In totality, I think this is an excellent safety class. The high end of Caleb Downs and Delon Tieneman is exceptional. And then there's Kamari Ramsey, who could be exceptional with the right coaching. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, I think, is a solid starting box safety. And then the other 3 that I've looked at, I think could all have a role. But that's all from me. If you did enjoy the content, please consider liking and subscribing. It would be very much appreciated. I'll be bringing you tight ends next, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you next time.